Human and computer interaction from start to finish. To create a new system for design, the instructional designer, known as the ID for the purpose of this video, begins by identifying the problem. They do this through observations and interviewing stakeholders. The next step in the process is to identify the motivations for the new design. What goals and challenges is the stakeholder seeing? From here, the ID begins user interviews. They will interview up to 10 people, recording the interviews and taking notes. The ID begins with broad and open-ended questions. Yes and no questions will not be useful when gathering data. After compiling the data from the user interview, the ID then creates a persona and a scenario. The common characteristics that were found in the user interviews will be used to create this lifelike person who will be given a name. This is not a caricature. The scenarios will emulate a day in the life of the persona while using the new system that has been created. The ID will then create the new system using a low-fidelity prototype, which will be used in testing around 2 tasks. This prototype is void of bells and whistles. Colors and logos are unnecessary, as they may distract the user from the task at hand and how the system should flow. A pencil and paper are appropriate for this prototype. The ID will then do a cognitive walkthrough. They will create a task, take on the identity of the persona, and attempt to complete the task. Throughout the walkthrough, the ID will work out any foreseeable problems. They will then go back to the low-fidelity prototype and correct any problems they encountered. The heuristic evaluation will be done by 3 or 4 HCI experts. They will walk through the task and ask themselves the following questions as they do. Will the user know what he or she is supposed to do? Will the user see the tool or control that they need? Will the tool or control make sense to the user? Did the tool or control produce the understandable effect or outcome? The ID will then fix any low-fidelity problems that were encountered. Now, the low-fidelity prototype is ready to go. At this point, the ID will conduct user testing with approximately 5 users. The users will walk through the tasks using a think aloud. One expert will take notes, while another will use prompts to keep the user thinking aloud. The walkthrough will be recorded for future reference. After user testing, the recording and notes will be analyzed. Any problems that arise will be addressed. At this point, a high-fidelity prototype will be created. This will be a prototype that mirrors the final product as closely as possible. Again, a cognitive walkthrough using the persona will be done. Any corrections will be made to the high-fidelity prototype. 3 to 4 HCI experts will do a heuristic evaluation. Corrections will be made to the high-fidelity prototype using their findings. User testing will occur at this point using the high-fidelity prototype. Again, users will do a think aloud, which will be recorded. User analysis will take place. The final product will be created, and the system will be launched.